of 10 different videos that we gonna kick off to start. The next slide, we will talk about the timetables. So the videos will be uploaded on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we would total have 10 different videos, which will cover us for about like 3 and a little bit more weeks. So that's gonna be our schedule for the next coming few weeks in October. Today so earlier on we had did a nomination of all the topics that we want to cover in a series of all different videos and classes. So I've picked the one that it was nominated the highest, which is socializing. So we will talk about like socializing at work. What are the vocabularies or expressions or phrases that we could be using? And we're gonna talk about like maybe the small talks, the vocabularies, and also the topics that we could use. So when it comes to socializing, socialize actually it means to meet other people. Socializing, it's the noun version of the verb version of socialize. So to give you an example, it's like maybe you can say I don't mind socializing or you love socializing. The original root of the socializing word comes from the noun of the word, which is society. And in talking about society, then there are usually two adjectives that we talk about to describe things and describe a person. So the first one is social. Social, it only used to describe something. So you can say like social benefits, social workers, and social media. So those are examples that you can use to describe things. And then there's another one which we use to describe a person, a people. So you can say that I'm a very sociable person, or actually I'm not a very sociable person, I'm an antisocial person. So there are phrases that we can say like that, antisocial, social, to describe a person, the trait, the personality trait of a person. To give you a little bit example on the vocabularies that we usually use, um, so you can say that somebody's very sociable, which means very friendly, very approachable. You can also say that he's very gregarious, which means that the person's very outgoing. You can say like Jenny is very gregarious, which means that I'm usually very extrovert, very outgoing. You can say somebody's affable, which means somebody's also very friendly. It's like you can say, oh, that person is really affable, or approachable, which is very commonly used word that describe that you describe somebody like, oh, it's very approachable, like considering his position in the company, like working high or middle management, that actually turns out he's very approachable, which means that somebody's very easy to talk to. There's another one like on the opposite. So you can say somebody's really unfriendly or he's very solitary. So solitary means that he's somebody who wants to be, solo, which means they want to be on their own. They don't want to be interacted with other people. You can say somebody's really aloof, which means very distant and cold, which means that you can also describe somebody who is very indifferent towards people or things, like, oh, he's kind of aloof. So you can say use the words in this slide to describe the traits of people. So the next slide, we're gonna talk about like usually the vocabularies or the words that you could use to describe, like the the basics of social. So you can say that I want to make some friends, which everybody should know what this one means. But the next one, which is make acquaintances. So acquaintance is someone you know, but not really a friend, which means that in Chinese, we usually what we say is a 熟人 or 认识的人. It doesn't really necessarily mean that you be friend with the person. Maybe it's someone who you just know, but not really close with. So you can say to make friends, to make new friends. I like to make some new friends, or you can say I like to hang out. I hang out a lot with my friends during the weekends, or I hang out usually, after work, with my loved ones. The next one, which is chit chat. Chit chat, which means it's very informal. and then you have a good conversation with friends, where when you can do some like gossip, you can do like some discussions, which is nothing serious. So you can say, I love to chit chat with friends over coffee. So I love a good chit chat with my loved ones. Or you can say like, hey, what are you guys chit chatting about over there? Like you seem kind of, so you can use that chit chat to talk about informal conversations. The next one you can use the vocabularies you could use is to connect or have a connection with somebody. To connect with somebody is really intense. Um, like what I say in the bracket over here, it means to like a house on fire, which means that when you're really connected with somebody or click with somebody, it means that you get along really well. You can say that I have a really good connection with a guy. I have a really good connection with the new teammates in the team which means we really get along. We get to know each other. We're in sync, kind of expressions. So there are many, many ways of if you want to express like you want to visit a friend. So you can say that there are a lot of ways to say it, but usually like pop over, pop by, which is very British. You can say drop in, drop by, stop in, stop by, or even swing by, which is very American. So they actually means you stop by in someone's house to visit, or you just literally just be there temporarily to say hello. So you can say, oh, you can just drop off, you can just drop by or drop over, or swing by tomorrow morning in office just to say hello to the new manager. Or you can say, maybe you can swing by, to our neighbor and then just bring a pizza or pie to say hello. You can also say that in examples that I gave on at the bottom, that you can say like my friend Sarah, who would often pop by to catch up on what has happened over tea or over coffee. Or when there's a friend who came over and then you want to say bye and then you want to say thank you. So you can say thanks for stopping by, thanks for swinging by, thanks for dropping by. And then if you want to say like you just want to quickly be there and then you go, and then you can say, I'll swing by after work, casually. I'll just come over after work. So those are the phrases that you could use when you want to say that you just want to visit a friend. There are socializing topics that we use when it comes to work environment, or which means that you're going to socialize in school. So the first expression usually we use is to make contacts. Make tongue contacts, it means to meet people because they can be useful. Like, say, for example, I want to make contacts with our new vendor, or I want to make new contacts. I want to make contacts with our new lawyer that in the company, which means that you want to build that connection or contacts with somebody because they actually present or come with value. The next expression that you can use is to build a rapport or a relationship. Rapport, it means to have the same emotion or being on the same page. It originally come from French. So it means that you be in the same wave with somebody on an emotional state, so that whatever you feel or whatever you think is synchronized with another one, and vice versa. Whatever other people's emotional feedback are actually in sync with yours. So to build a rapport or build a relationship with somebody, which means that emotionally that you guys on the same page. The next one, which is to build a connection with somebody, which means you get connected with somebody, get along with somebody. The next one, which is to network, which is very commonly used because they're usually for work reasons. So, for example, like I'm going to a social event or party just to network because I want to meet the people who are in the same industry or who are working towards the same goal that I would just want to expand my social network with somebody. So you say, I want to go there and then to network. There is another one, and the last, which is mingle, to mingle with somebody. Mingle usually means or used in very informal occasions where, you know, you can mingle at the party, you can mingle at event, you can even mingle with the new people or whoever. It means that you blend in informally with people just to do a chit chat, you know, a conversation, and then make a few jokes. That's how that you when you want to say that you want to mingle with. I have put here there's a book which maybe if you're interested, you can dive in a little bit to understand a little bit more of the vocabularies or the topics that you can use and how to make friends and influence people. It's quite interesting book. Give it a shot. So, when it comes to small talks, of course, there are a few topics that I want to cover for small talks. So, the small talk usually is just you need to find your common grounds, which means to find something that you have in common. For example, like you see people's outfit, and then they happens to be your favorite brand. You see people have certain breakfast or drink certain coffee, which is also what you like. So you find something in common or similar, then it's easier for you to initiate a conversation to start with. So for example, if you see that your colleague is also drinking the same brand of coffee like you did, then you can go ahead and it's like, oh my God, like I didn't know, like you like that kind of brand of coffee, and I found that it's really tasty or something that I like. It's really nice that you drink the same with me, or like, oh, I didn't know that you like gin tonic as well, like next time we can drink together at a bar, you know, something that's similar that you find between you and other people, and as a like a opener of a conversation, and then you get close to people easily. So you just need to be careful with the taboo area. Taboo means something 禁忌,禁忌的, which means that you're not supposed to be there or even touch. So especially in Western culture, that you're supposed to be very careful with when it comes to salary. So in China, it's actually quite common or maybe socially acceptable for people to ask you like, oh, like 你的工资是多少？你每个月赚多少钱 or something like that. But it's very, very, very rude to ask in Western culture. And the same with, for example, age or politics or religions, you know, people are they tend to be very sensitive when it comes to those kind of topics. So just be careful not to touch those areas at the beginning of at the beginning of a conversation, at the beginning of when you're trying to make a new friend. But if you know someone really well who you are quite close to, maybe you can do this, but it's not advisable. The third one, which is like listening and encouraging, which we also give it a term called minimum encourager or minimum encouragement, which means that when people are actually talking, then you give them feedback. And the feedback make the other person aware that you're actually focusing on them, you're listening to them, and at the same time you're giving them emotional feedback. So for example, if somebody is talking and then you find that quite fun, then you can say, oh really interesting, you know, tell me more. So if you're just trying to give the feedback that you are on the same page or you get what they mean, then you can say uh-huh, uh-huh, you know, mhm. Or sometimes you can say like to act like a very surprising, then you can say, no way. Like, so there are different ways that you can give people feedback, you know. So the next topics we're gonna cover, like, what if you don't really understand what other people are talking about? So if literally you don't really understand what they're saying because of a language barrier, then what you can say is like maybe come again, I don't really understand. I don't really catch that. Can you just repeat that? Or you can say, I don't really follow, which means that, well, it's not really a language issue, but I just don't understand what you're trying to express. The next one, which is like, I don't fully get it. Can you explain that again? Or what do you mean exactly? Try to ask the people to elaborate a little bit more. So you can also say, oh, can you elaborate a little bit more, please? Can you articulate what you're trying to say? You can give them like questions, just to get a chance to understand things again. There are topics and also words which you could use when you're winding up, which means that when you are wrapping up or closing a conversation. So, which is very common in the Western world that at the end of the conversation or if when you're ready to go, then you can say, okay, anyway, and people are most likely gonna know that you're gonna leave soon or you're wrapping up. You can also say, it's been really nice meeting you. It's been nice chatting with you. It's been a pleasure meeting you. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, or something like that. Or in a very polite way, and then you can say, I'll let you go on, or I don't want to keep you. Or you can say, I need to make a move. I need to run. I need to go. I'm off. I'll catch you later, or something like that, which is very casual way of saying that. So those are the phrases that you could be using when you're talking about like when you're about to finish the conversation, ready to go. The last one, which is idioms that which you could be using in your conversations. So this to start with, to break the ice. So in Chinese, we say 破冰, which is I think the literal translation of break the ice, which means that you start a conversation easily, help people to relax a little bit. 破冰, which means that you want people to loosen up a little bit before you start to do anything, right? The next one, which is fair weather friend, which means that a friend that only when the times are good. So when the times are not good, they're not your friend. So it actually means that they are not your friend because they only want to be your friend because you are in your good time. Okay. The next one, which is chew the fat, which means that you're gonna chit chat informally. Um, so you can say, well, tomorrow if you're free, feel free to drop by, then we can chew the fat, which means tomorrow you can come over and then you can just chit chat a little bit. Next one, it's very common phrase, morning mini. Morning means like somebody's been whining about a lot, like complaining about. So that would be a morning mini means like somebody, don't be like somebody who always complains, nonstop. The last one, which is give somebody the time of the day. So, which means that you give your time to listen to people. So you can say, like, well, I think you should give Tom the time of the day, which means that you should spend some time with Tom to listen to Tom and understand what's going on with Tom, to chit chat with Tom, to listen to what he has been doing or getting along, to understand a little bit more of that. So those are the phrases that you could be using in when it comes to the topics of socializing. Hopefully this helps. All right, thank you. I'll stop the recording now.